this video, I want to share with you the story of how currently, since I've just moved back to the US, sports cards sales are actually a large portion of the thing that is supporting my family's financial health until such a time as my wife and or I have jobs. So in this video, I just kind of want to share the story. So let's get into this. Past, whenever I've moved into a new city, it's always been in connection with a job that I've already had lined up, that I was basically moving into that new city for this specific job. So actually, I'm 42 at this point in my life, and I've never been in a situation where I'm just kind of like randomly looking for work. It's never been that way. I've always had something lined up and then gone to it and then done that thing. So this move back from living in China for 15 years to the US has been a new experience for me and for my wife as well. She came to realize, in her, 41 years of life, she had never even applied for a job. She was headhunted almost. When she first got out of college, there was an organization that was looking to train somebody to start their own education businesses in their own education organizations in their hometown, and she was identified as a potential person. She went through this training process, and then they helped her seek sources of funding and all this kind of stuff to start her own community-based educational organization. And then from there, any other job she had after that was kind of headhunted. Like, there was different organizations who would say, yeah, we want you, come and do this. And then that was her career. And my career also was kind of like, okay, this is the job I'm applying to. If we get it, like maybe we go there. It's always been related to that kind of thing too. So I've never really had to like wait and job search and stuff. So when we moved back to the States, this is a new experience for both of us. For the first 2 months that we were back here, we weren't looking for work. We were just like, okay, let's ease in, let's get our kids settled in, let's spend time with friends and family. We don't have to rush. And then we'll start applying for jobs. And then we started doing that. We've been back in the States now for more than 3 months. So I've been applying for jobs now for about 6 weeks. But I started early on, like maybe after we were here for a month and things had settled in, I started to realize like, okay, it would be nice to have a little bit more of an income coming in while we're job hunting. So, I got a part-time job. Eventually my wife got a part-time job that covers some of the costs. And then I started to do more regular selling on eBay, and I've made some videos about my first month selling in eBay, and it was also going quite well. So this is how, like right now, where the job hunt is stretching a bit longer than I expected it to. It's a weird situation. The job market in America is very weird. A lot of the jobs that you would need that high education don't pay much more than $18, $20 an hour, it seems to me, which when you calculate that in over the year, the town I live in is quite expensive. So it's not really a living salary, even a full-time kind of thing to support a family on. So I've been looking for the right kind of job. I'm picky. I applied to a few different things, and so far nothing has come of anything. So in the meantime, though, selling cards on eBay has become a really important source of income. It's bringing in about $1,000 a month, on average of this time, and a lot of it is selling the stuff that I had bought in China. So that $1,000 of month is actually probably closer to $600 or $700 in actual profit. But it's pretty consistent. I have enough inventory to be able to upload pretty regularly, and then I've been learning how that I can continue to buy stuff in China and have it sent here through Card Hobby. In another video I'll share about the Card Hobby overseas warehouse thing that they have now, which is a little bit like a ship my cards style of thing, but for people who want to buy cards in China and have them shipped abroad. So I've been learning how to do that as well. So I've been learning all these things that have actually been contributing to me being able to continue to think about making this amount of money with just a part-time thing. So these days I'll wake up in the morning, get the kids ready for school, send them off to school, come back here, upload a bunch of cards onto eBay. I have a Whatnot store that I'm going to try to learn more about later on as well. And then I have regular sales on ComC as well. And those ones I'm not even counting in this video here. I'm just talking about eBay because that's the one that brings it a little bit more consistently. ComC sales are slower. I have to wait 4 months for cards to be uploaded into the system. So it's a little slower. So it's not like, something that's going to support the family right now. eBay is. So if I'm able to upload, some new cards, a little batch of new cards each day, I do that each day, and I'm selling a handful of cards every day. And this is actually supporting the family while I also have a part-time job that I'm working about 15 hours a week while I'm job hunting. So it's nice actually that this thing that I love, this sports card buying and selling thing, I really enjoy. Like I enjoy collecting sports cards, but I have a lot of fun with the business aspects of sports cards. It's fun. I like all the different elements. I've talked in videos in the past on how for me, I know this isn't for everybody, but for me, If sports cards was only collecting, I would get bored of it. If sports card was only buying and selling, I would get bored of it. If sports cards didn't have this opportunity to communicate with people through like YouTube channels or other things, I would get bored of it. I like having these different ways of engaging to the hobby. It makes the hobby more alive to me. It makes the hobby more engaging. It makes it more interesting. I'm not somebody who would want to do just one of those things. I would get bored of it and I would just not do any of them. But because of, my joy with the hobby, this has been a really nice thing to be able to, continue to support the family financially, not saving much, but to not have a job except for a 15-hour-a-week job and to be breaking even is pretty solidly okay at this stage where we're job hunting. So that's pretty cool. With the job hunt, I should just mention, I did actually apply. I mentioned, I don't know if you saw in the comments of another one, I did apply for a job at ComC. Unfortunately, I didn't get that job. It was, the online, the remote jobs that they have. I think the requirements, the background is not really that aligned to what my background is. I feel completely confident that I would be able to do that job very effectively because the job I applied for was called program manager. It was kind of like in charge of working with a team of people to build relationships, to extend possible like collaborations and connections that ComC has with different businesses, and to improve the user interface, based on user experience. So to collect information and data from different users to try to figure out how to improve the user interface, like everything related to that. Actually, I think I could do extremely well. It's stuff that as at a hobby level, I've kind of done in the background, just thinking about those things for a while. And I know that with my experience with kind of starting projects on my own and kind of initiating businesses and all this kind of stuff, I know that I would be able to do it. But if you look at my resume, it's so education oriented. It's so, like in a school, even though in a school setting, I have started new projects and built relationships with community partners for service learning experiences and stuff like that. I have some kind of unique experiences, but none of it like translates directly into the experiences of this. So I actually I applied for a job at ComC. I had a first interview. I didn't make it on to the second interview. I'm not surprised because my background is so alternative. It's hard to see how it aligns. I personally, when I take a step back and look at the skills that my experience has provided, I feel like I could have done all those things like extremely well, and it would have been very natural, but I could see how most people wouldn't be able to see that. And I don't think I could make that connection so clear in the interview. So that's okay. I knew that the job at ComC was kind of a long shot, but I was like, oh man, that would be so fun, like to be able to contribute to this company that I respect in a way that I feel like I can really contribute meaningfully. I was excited about it, but that one didn't work out. So be it. That's fine. I've applied to a bunch of other jobs. I've applied to some jobs and so far all of them have been turned down, but I've been also like really like finding jobs. Like I've been a teacher for a long time and involved in education, but I want to try some new spaces. So I applied for like, there's Oregon State University has what they call their extension services, where they work with agriculture. And one of my hobbies is related to agriculture. I love learning. I've taken online courses just for fun in permaculture and learning about how different systems can work together and how to do companion planting. And it's just like a fascination. Even with homeschooling with my son, we spent a lot of time learning about that stuff because it's so fascinating. So I applied for a job like that, even though my background has nothing to do with agriculture. So if you just look at my resume, it's like, why are you applying for this job? So a number of the jobs I applied for with these kinds of things were just like, I want this cool new experience. And they're like, who's this guy? He has nothing to do with this. Next. So I think just snorted. I think that was, a lot of the jobs I was applying for were that, like wanting a new experience, thinking I was capable of doing this, but how do you prove it to somebody, which is which is tough when you have kind of an alternative kind of resume. My resume doesn't look standard to anything. It's, my job titles are like educational empowerment officer, junior youth project officer. Yeah, and on all these kind of like strange looking things that don't have any context for most people. For me, it's been all like wonderful, meaningful, love. I feel like I've always had these jobs that I've really loved. I've never had to, since I was in college, I had plenty of work study experiences, or before going to college experiences, working in jobs that I didn't like. I worked at a motorhome factory installing insulation, that pink itchy stuff. That was the worst job ever. That was the one that got me to decide to go to college in the first place, because I was like, this is a terrible job. I don't like this. And I've had plenty of other jobs, in my life, but in my career, since becoming an adult, it's always been in this kind of education path. So it's hard for these companies to kind of see what are the transferable skills, even though I know there's all kinds of transferable skills based on what I've been doing. But I've been applying to a number of things. So we'll see. There's still a few jobs out there that are high on my list. That my city was looking for what's called a youth empowerment supervisor to help with some of the different youth empowerment programs they have within the city, to work with at-risk youth, or to work with different, schools in a service learning thing, or to work with the library, which has like a teen center, and it's kind of like collaborating with these different arms of these youth empowerment programs and kind of supervising it all. So I applied for that one, and I'm waiting to hear back from that one. That one may be more aligned to my past experience than a lot of the other jobs I was applying to. There's a few other jobs I've applied for, but so far, I've only gotten rejection letters, which is a new thing for me. I've never gotten a rejection letter from a job before in my life until this time. So it's all a very new experience. But anyway, that's well beyond sports cards. But on this channel, I figure I share my life as well. So anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.